Welcome to the Extra Dialogues podcast once again. And today we are going to be talking about something quite sensitive and disheartening that has been happening in Kenya that concerns women and the whole society. This is an extreme form of gender-based violence that involves the most severe violation of human rights. And with me here in the studio are two experts that are going to be representing both genders, the men and the women for today. And we are going to hear the insights and perspectives and as well as opinions of the recent experiences of Kenyan women when it comes to femicide. So bear with me, tune in as you listen to this very, very constructive and relevant conversation. Welcome, Martha and Basil. Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Tell us a bit about what you do, who you are, and we can dive into the conversation of today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the invite, and I'm privileged, by the way, to be here. My name is Martha Kombe, a digital enthusiast. I like calling myself that, and an expert in terms of public health and media communications. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Of course, I'm very honored to be part of this great discussion. I apply my trade in data engineering, but I also moonlight as an anthropologist. So I'm looking forward to a very great discussion.
I mean, I'm so glad because you guys come from very different fields, and at the end of the day, we need to hear the perspectives of men and women, right? So we are here because we have been brought here because of the alarming cases that we have witnessed in Kenya, especially in January, of so many women being killed. I will ask Martha as the expert when it comes to SRHR to help us understand or define what femicide basically means for the normal listener or viewer.
So basically, we know the killing of humans is homicide.
Yes.
And when now this killing is specified to a certain gender, especially the female, now it's called the femicide. Basically, that is it.
Okay. Basil, I wonder if you knew what femicide meant before Martha just explained.
Well, that's very eye-opening. I was confusing those two terms: homicide, femicide.
Femicide.
Basil, I'm pretty sure you've been watching the news and on social media you've seen the number of cases rising of women being killed, especially at the hands of men. What do you feel about this whole issue?
Of course, it's always sad to lose a loved one or a sibling or a child. And so as always, my heart goes out to the families that have been affected and their friends. I know it can be, if you're not affected, you might not feel it, but it is like those lifelong traumas that you have to deal with. Over and above, despite all the negativity, I believe in the sanctity of human relations. The primacy of the heart, and friendships and love. It's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
I really feel for the affected families.
Martha, why do you think men are killing women? Kenyan men, and even let's just say African men, because there was a case where a Nigerian man was actually involved.
There are many factors. First of all, currently, what has come out with the few stories that we've seen. We've experienced, most of them are spiritually. Can I say spiritually?
Spiritually driven
I don't believe in cultism.
Giving cult vibes.
Yes, cult vibes. Now there is this now gender-based violence aspect whereby me and this man, handsome man, are having issues, or maybe having past issues with our past relationship. Then all of a sudden something just erupts and you kill that person, or you start fighting. In the midst of fighting, you might kill someone. So there are many factors, including psychological traumas.
Yes, very important.
That has prompted imefichua these killings right now, and most of it sana naweza sema inaangazia sana kwa pesa. Najua mwenzangu hapa takata.
So ukisema pesa ni saidia wanaume ama wanawake?
The margin is still there. Yes. As much as some women are driving, we're seeing education levels rising, nini. The equality equilibrium is not, bado hatuja balance. we haven't balanced it, and the vulnerability imposes still on the woman. That's why I don't want to say lured, but most women are lured into these spaces, either voluntarily or involuntarily,
Because of those push factors like financial dependence. Basil, what do you have to say about that? Like when you look in Kenya, I mean across the world basically, when it comes to the economic disparities between men and women, you realize that women are more likely to be dependent on men. So do you agree with Mother that is one of the factors that maybe has been contributing to these women finding themselves in these circumstances where it leads to their lives being taken away from them? What do you say about that?
Okay, I'll say that I don't think the dependency is a problem or is a cause, because I mean, if you study history, that has been the norm. The man naturally is a provider, or the person who goes out there. Even during the hunting and gathering, women never used to go hunt. So who used to go and face the bear?
It's the man.
So the woman was home depending on the man, but not necessarily depending, because she was also doing
she was doing her part too.
So even in the current society, I think we need to tone down the narrative around dependency. I wouldn't say that finances or lack of it is a justification for certain types of happenings or behaviors. Just the way I would not say that emotional trauma or past experiences is a justification for becoming a violent person or a killer or something. So if it's in terms of causes of this thing, my own opinion would be, and since I'm coming from a data side, I've been reading a little bit.
Tell us some numbers.
No, not that I have numbers that I'm not David Day. No, I'll just say that I think this thing is becoming too much because of the nature of the century we live in. The media is everywhere, so the visibility is there. But I can assure you this, I'm not justifying it, but this kind of things has been happening. Where there are two human beings relating, there's always conflict of interest, disagreements on so many levels. And when there's a disagreement of some level, some sort of violence normally happens. And when violence happens, some physicality happens. So the only why it's becoming a problem now is because we see it all over, because, I mean, there's a lot of media. So even when it happens there, we see it, another one happens there. So we are bombarded by this, it's called what?
Too much information.
The molarity of the whole thing is concentrated. Well, like she said, this is as a result of multiple factors. But
so many
from
factors.
the way I look at it, number one is this: if you have to enjoy the spoils of war, you must know that the game is dangerous, and you need to know who you are playing with, or who you're dealing with, But then you see in our culture here, we believe, there's this small girl, big God, and then there's also the mentality also. What I'm saying is this: the way you carry yourself says a lot about you. If you just need to know that you're dealing with in a dangerous space.
So, I mean, sorry to cut you short, but how would someone tell that this person is dangerous? I mean, given how technology is really providing like a whole world of different situations and experiences and people.
Also, you have to remember, I'm not an expert in this field. But you have to remember.
You're actually here to give the layman point of view, which we really appreciate.
Yeah. Nowadays, I hear there are degrees on gender studies. I'm always wondering what it entails. I'll go check.
A good example is the findings of this guy, John Mutara. The neighbors, the family members were being questioned, and in the interview, all of them mentioned that John Mutara was a really quiet person, really peaceful. He avoided conflicts in the family.
So really many things are in play. You cannot really pinpoint to one particular reason, because even women have been murdered by people they know, people they are comfortable with, to go to a room with. I was actually watching the news today, and the executive director of FIDA gave really disturbing statistics about femicide. She said that according to FIDA's statistics, at least per year, 50 women lose their lives out of femicide, and that draws down to 1 to 2 cases per week. So what do you think is the root cause or the root causes?
If you look at what is now, what is manifesting now,
right,
it's what previously, or
It has been a process.
just piling
Yes.
up, piling up. In psychology, we mention about thoughts. Then thoughts later on becomes behavior.
Right.
But manifestation of this behavior, it's really profound. What happened during COVID-19?
Yeah, it was a difficult time.
It was a very difficult
Yes.
time. But what has the government done
To
in
deal
terms
with
of
the
mental health?
aftermath. Yeah, the aftermath of COVID-19.
Making mental health services available for
accessible,
everyone,
yes.
accessible for
Yes.
everyone, so that people can talk it out. But right now, what we are seeing is people who have piled up some issues, and now
They're letting it all out
it
differently,
all out
and
differently.
yeah.
So
think
one of
that
the
makes sense.
major root cause is that. Another one is the issue of gender equality, and I've mentioned it before. For the longest time, women, we've been fighting for spaces, but it's in recent times, even hata wewe unaweza attest that you've heard men saying, si wamesha, they've already been empowered.
It's now time for men.
For
Yeah.
men. So unknowingly, we might be facing some other cases of of men trying to
Like backlash or something.
ni kama wanataka kusikika.
Yeah.
Like tusikike nguvu zetu
Yeah,
mali ziko.
because like, you know, when the more people say that the boy child has been forgotten, that is not just words. There are feelings behind that, and people are going to act out.
If you look deeply or try to analyze one post of a misogynist, whether knowingly or unknowingly,
Yes.
post,
Yes.
you'll find out that many men watakuwa hapo blaming the victim, not only blaming the victim but saying sasa si mnaona,
Yeah.
like hiyo pesa yote
Nothing is for free.
nothing is for free, kumbe empowerment ndio imewaweka wakakuwa hivyo, kumbe hizi magari they're driving ni za huko.
They're not really seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah, so you see, unaona hiyo disparity, like kuna ka grudge.
Could it be like the unintended consequence?
Yes.
Like, you know, maybe it went too far and then you guys never thought about, because you know, for every action
There's a reaction.
an opposite and equal
Exactly.
reaction. That's a law of physics.
Yeah.
That one is there in every aspect of life. So even if as we push all this other, you know, this gender movement, what potential backlash could it bring in the society in the long run?
Yeah, and
I mean,
actually
it could have a good motive, but then, you know, you have to do this balance and checks. So.
And that's actually in terms of now public health programmers. Yes, tunafaa kuangalia pia the risks.
Right.
As much as we are shifting,
Yes.
unajua tuna shift.
At what cost?
Women are gaining power. Women are gaining
voice, agency, and all
agency. And for the longest time,
that. It has been the men controlling the narrative.
So
Where's that
unknowingly,
coming from?
no, unknowingly, these men are feeling threatened.
Let me tell you, you can be as drunk as you are, you can be as stressed as you can be, you can have trauma as you can be, but if you're not a killer, you're not going to kill someone. These people, these culprits you see who go and murder women, these are killers. These are just people who are killers. It's just not normal people. Not the way they say a thief is a thief. It doesn't matter. The same way a killer is just a killer. So there are these elements within the population that are just killers. Even the police force, you see, all of them have guns. But once in a while you hear, there's a killer cop. Be careful. There's a killer cop. Why? Because he's just trigger happy. He'll go shoot people to kill. But these other policemen also have guns. It's the same thing with all these men. But I wouldn't say it's men killing them. I think those are just thugs, man.
But they are men. At the end of the day, they have been men.
And a good example is John Matara. He had his victim, women. None of them is a man.
Women victims.
Why?
Because I think
It's
a gender thing.
It's a distorted something in the mind is distorted.
You know why it's easier? It's, you know, the principle of a target. You want to pick the easier target. How would John Matara lure me now? With what? Sex? How? He can't lure me with money. How? A man cannot give another man money. So what? If a man is a murderer, the easiest person for him to murder is usually a lady.
Yeah, so what makes the lady the easiest
because
victim?
you can ask out for a date.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like a gender targeting thing. It's just several factors.
a
Number
gender.
two, I could say a I'll buy you a watch or something.
So that's financial reason.
But you will not tell another man, hey, bro, I want to buy a watch. Why? Oh,
You see the disparities.
Yes.
no, this is just
Eh,
social
endelea,
life.
endelea.
Yeah?
Uko sawa, uko
Then
sawa.
number three, you could say, yeah, let me take you on a night out. So why would another man take me on a night out? To do what? So it's always, it's a lady. So if I wanted to commit, or no, I can't use myself, this person who's bad wanted to commit murder, it's easier for him to find a vulnerable kind of lady to lure them, because it will be harder. The effort that he's going to put will be smaller. These people who murder us, they target a certain type of people. They don't just come to anyone.
And
But
certain
there's a
countries.
reason why
And
this-
certain countries. Mbona
yeah, there's a
hawajaenda Tanzania
It's just
ama
we don't know
Uganda
the
mali
news there.
watakatwa shingo?
Yeah.
Yes, kwa sababu justice system yetu
Look
But there's no femicide in Uganda and Tanzania.
in our justice system.
kuna
There's no
loopholes.
femicide.
Mnajua tu kabisa if I kill in Kenya kuna uwezekano naweza toka. So the current issue is that
The
kuna
ones putting
loopholes
shade
kwa
on
justice
judiciary.
kuna loopholes kwa justice system
Yeah, that's true.
and
That's true.
ndo zinafanya watu wengine wanaepuka. Someone who was killed anatembea ana bail.
Anyway, I want us to talk about technology, especially on this issue. What do you guys think about the role of technology in either continuing femicide or even putting a stop to it, like both ways?
So how it works in terms of also communication and media, a trending thing, if it sparks the interest of many population, then that is the story that we will be feeding the population, right? And to affirm that is to say easy data zilikuwa before, and people like FIDA, KDHS zimekuwa zikicapture the femicide, but those are the reported ones. Ukiangalia yule the Nigerian guy,
Prince.
yeah. So word has been that together with his fellow, that they are usually not usually, it's a gang, yeah, it's a group, and they confessed to have killed 70
What?
70 women.
God.
So it's something that has been going on.
It has been
Just as
happening.
right now ameshikwa, ndo tunaona. So the technology imesaidia, at the same time inatuhatarisha in terms of security, kwa sababu many people have met their husbands through
Facebook, Nini, Tinder, all those dating apps.
but many people have also faced very many violence.
Exactly.
even
They've been
deaths.
victims.
Yeah.
They've been targeted. Yeah.
through social media and technology. So to some extent it's a safe, it's safe, and also it
Very,
it
very.
encourages
Yeah.
a lot of insecurity. What I can say is that the responsibility lies to the leaders, basically the leaders, to see how wataweka hizo safety pins, either through the system, the other systems, in terms of now ni education, watoto wafunzwe hizo masprays, ukitembea kwa
Yes.
giza, ikuwe part of the
Personal safety.
curriculum,
Yes.
wajue kupigana, kwa sababu most of these issues si kupigana like self-defense is
When the
important.
need arises.
When the
Look
need
at him
arises.
reacting as a man.
No, I agree. I'm just making it,
Yeah.
Yeah, so there needs to be those systemic changes
Yes.
that needs to be put in place.
And no one can put it unless ni our leaders.
It's the government. It's the
government.
responsibility of the government to put in like laws, policies, all those frameworks to make sure that these things are prevented even before they happen.
Yeah.
What do you think is the harm that victim blaming and victim shaming that we have been seeing online is actually creating? What is the harm that is creating? Honestly, like most of it has been coming from men. Unfortunately. And if you've been keen, like people, when you look at your status, I actually have looked at my status, and the only people that are actually doing that are my male friends. I was having so many questions and concerns, because you think you actually know someone until something like this happens, and then you see how they're reacting to it. And social media gives you the opportunity to create pseudo accounts where people don't have to know who you are.
Exactly.
And I feel like maybe people are actually hiding behind that. But observation is majority have been men who have been victim blaming or victim shaming, whether knowingly or unknowingly, what is the harm that is being created from this? What do you think?
As you said, technology, as always, is an enabler in every vertical,
Yes.
for good and bad.
Yeah.
It cuts both ways.
Like some people are saying she was a prostitute, she deserved to be killed. Alikuwa nafikiria nini?
No,
Feminists can now come and speak.
Prostitution
Unaendaje na
not-
stranger? Like, you know, they're trying to justify. They're forgetting to look at the part where human rights has been violated.
No,
the
that's
worst
wrong.
kind of violation.
That's wrong. I mean, I don't think because you're a prostitute you should be killed. Prostitution is always trade. I mean, like it's there since even during the
Yeah.
like during days of Moab in the
So
Bible.
that is just one of the ways
I
in
don't
which
think-
they're victim shaming and victim blaming.
I will look at it from this angle. I think the misinformation is playing a big role in this whole thing because
Misinformation.
I don't think these same people are blaming this victim shaming and doing all this. They have sisters, they have daughters, they have wives, they have girlfriends and everything.
Yeah, they
Mothers
do.
and all, and they really care about them. And they will actually beat you up if you murder if you
Yes.
try to mess with them.
Yeah.
So it tells you that it's a facade kind of thing. It's not like something real. So when you go online and you're just saying, it's usually because online is very polarized. So either you're this side or this side. So once it's black and white, things just go downwards after that because
Yeah.
there's no nuance between in inside it.
Yeah.
So it eliminates all the gray areas. So somebody just because there is a feminist on this other side claims, doing ABCD, then there is now you all band up on this other side.
Yeah.
But then you also have to be aware that when a man is murdered, whether for political reasons or lured into some of these rackets or whatever, it's not given enough visibility. Like there's that Meru guy blogger who got killed. Did you see how the guy was just banned and it was the most unholiest of things I ever saw, but nobody even talked about it.
The issue is, have you seen a woman targeting men?
Yeah.
Akiwaua.
Targeting men and decapitating them and dismembering them,
A woman
or
and
killing
her
them and then
groups.
dumping them.
Eh.
There are many factors that affect that just
No,
because of the
you
gender
see,
kind
like
of
it
thing.
is very easy to confuse these as a
Yeah,
man versus women.
Yeah.
And that is something that has been actually happening. People want to make it about men also get killed. We are not refuting that at all.
Yes.
But we are
men
looking at
being targeted.
femicide. And
Yeah, femicide already is a killing of a woman.
But because of their gender.
their gender, they have been targeted because of their gender.
See, your
But
gender.
are we seeing men being
Targeted by women because of their gender?
Maybe, but I've never really had. I know that women are more afflicted by this. But I agree with you. But I just don't want that blanket, labeling that men are just going to kill women. You have to be very careful of the perils of a certain narrative. Just like things about stereotypes. And this entrenches a way of thinking.
Yes.
And that's my biggest problem with the online thing. Because the more every time a woman gets into trouble, online it becomes a joke. People now just start,
Yeah.
it becomes it's
becomes a
very
humor
grave
thing.
matter.
Yeah.
But then you know why nothing happens about it. Because we're sort of normalizing it. The more we talk
Exactly.
about it on a very low level scale
Yeah.
and in a very haphazard manner, it becomes normal.
Yeah.
So,
And I can add
and it's a very dangerous,
Yeah.
thing that's
And
happening.
I can add on to what you've mentioned about normalization and stereotype, making it a normal
Yeah, normal thing. Yeah.
There was a video of a lady wearing the I can say the natural, but tampons, zile za kitambo, zile zenye, like when you can't afford normal
Pad.
sanitary towels, you put a cloth, right?
Yeah.
So this lady was walking. I don't know if it was fabricated ama nini, but this lady was walking and then a man pulls down because it was kulikuwa imeonekana, pulls it down. The background voice of it's a joke, like they're laughing. Someone is laughing.
So it's like
It's a
humor.
TikTok. Yeah, it's a humor video
What?
of that kind of a violation. You see?
Yeah.
So
Because it is so
Yeah.
normal.
So I went on to comment about about the video, a violation, and some people mentioned you have to grow up. You see, so it's
Wow.
normalized in a point that
Like we
this
shouldn't
is a
react.
joke.
If you react, you're being petty.
Yeah, you're being petty. You're
Yeah.
a kid.
Oh my God. That is the society we live in. We actually live in that society.
A good example is unaona hapa Kasarani. There was at night someone, it was a neighbor hapo chini. Alimshukisha, I don't know if it was a taxi, but they were two. They were fighting. It was around 1 a.m. I woke up, they were fighting vibaya. This man is beating that person. Kila mtu ametoka just to get a show. No one is helping this woman. And Makiu, there are some security people outside.
Around,
so I shouted to the security guard and asked, mbona wewe umesimama? Why
are you letting this happen?
Why are you letting this thing happen? Unajua alisema nini? Hiyo ni ya wawili.
Yes, gender-based violence is not a private issue.
Exactly.
Actually, it might happen in the private, but it is not a private issue. It is a public issue. We talk about collective responsibility because if one part of the body is the only one that is actually doing the work, the other parts will fail and the body will not function. So as part of collective responsibility, you're talking about the government, the community, the individual, and perhaps the global community or any other party involved, whether it's the church or whatever. But let me talk about the government. What do you think the government needs to do or ought to have done to make sure that femicide is not the normal conversation of every day in Kenya?
First of all, the justice system. For a woman or anyone getting justice, inafaa kuonekana. And I really love what DCI is doing.
Yes.
I hope that wanaweza fanya more in terms of now implement this, kuwashika hao perpetrators if possible, wawekwe ndani and wasitolewe, not on bail, kwa sababu if you kill someone, I don't think you are allowed kutoka na bail. Yes, that is one. 2, mwenzangu hapa alikuwa anasema mambo kwa ground. The government wanaweza angalia the loopholes that these perpetrators use. For example, tumesema economy, no? These girls, apart from kuweka mikakati, mikakati in the job sector, at least wa push for women wapatiwe more employment. Nisikuwe ati uko high levels na huku chini wanapatiwa secretaries, wanapatiwa nini, but hata hiyo itasaidia. Unaona? More people wakikuwa in the job sector, especially the women, ita reduce the vulnerability. That is another one. Wasitupatie mambo na eti saloon. Mbona si kila mtu anapenda kushuka.
Exactly.
Wakuwe as diverse as possible. Another thing, kwa streets, lights they are missing.
Public surveillance.
Yes.
Lights, security
lights are missing. And those are the loopholes that these perpetrators are using. Hata nisiseme hao wenye wanaenda kwa Airbnb, but hizi cases zenye people are being wanapotea tu kabisa. Leo tulikuwa na Martha, kesho hayuko. And kwa sababu sisi tuko huku chini kwa grassroots, we can't, tumeenda tukareport but nothing has been done, so tunangoja tu.
Nothing more we can.
Akatokatwa akapelekwa Nigeria. I'm just saying. So the issue iko systemic. Ni systemic. As much as tunataka kusema ni mambo na collective responsibility, but as much as it's collective, kunafaa kuwa na that person ama that body that leads, coordinating,
which is the government. Yes.
And they are not doing as much as we would want them to do.
That is why we are having these cases. Yes.
I think everything starts with an individual.
Well, let's talk about the individual responsibility then.
So the individual responsibility is this. Try not to harm another person. Okay? Try not to be a misogynist. Try see a woman as it's even strange, this coming out of my mouth, because how do you start?
How?
Men cannot live without women. Women cannot live without men. Then where is this war coming in? You get? And I don't know. Or maybe we grew up different. People do fight. Like, I've also been in a relationship. Some have been good. Some have not been very good. But then, the respect is still there. You still, even hata mkitukana mfanye nini bad, God forbid, but the respect is still there. Gender-based violence cannot be solved by women alone. Men have to be involved.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that is why,
yeah, we
that's why
agree.
we are here. That's why you're
99
having this conversation.
No,
You're a man.
99% of the time when you hear these things talking, we want to see men also representing bodies that fight for women rights.
That is very true. Yes.
Because that's the only way other men are going to start respecting it. Or
Respecting,
you
yes.
But
Yes,
there's
Changing
still a
things.
notion out
yeah,
there.
the empathy.
99% of women believe that more women need to be in the board, more women. Like I'm telling you, in my last, like, let's say 3 jobs, in my workplace, there have been more women than men. In the last, the mid-level management group that we used to have, those talks we have, out of 12 of us, 7 were women.
So you see, perhaps that is your
And this is
reality.
technology.
Yeah, that is your reality.
so I don't
like
know when-
we agree that in some fields that is being actually seen.
Technology is actually
Progress,
a male-dominated
and
field,
I mean that
actually.
is the progress we want to be talking about. But your reality might be entirely different from someone else's reality. So we should not simply because your reality is different is better. Then we say that is the general reality. You realize the truth is gender equality. I mean, we're very far from it. Representation of women in like management, top level, mid level, we still have a long way to go, but there has been progress that we acknowledge and appreciate. Yes.
And we have a really big problem, not big problem, but big task, especially public health practitioners.
Yes.
Wenye tunafanya championing, like our male champion hapa, and a champion for equality. Tuko na a lot when it comes to shifting hii narrative.
Yes.
Tutatoaje a society that thinks kutoa kuchapa mtu slap, it's a joke.
It's or it's normal. It is nothing.
Yeah, or 2 people wakifight,
We should not intervene.
One person aseme huyu ni bibi yangu, the man
Then, yeah.
akisema huyu ni bibi yangu, then anaenda scot free. So it calls out for me, you, Basil, to start just changing narratives.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
For example,
ukiona mwanamume, ukiona in a fight and someone aseme hiyo ni ya watu wawili, kataa. Sema haifai kukua hivyo nini, just challenge that narrative.
Yeah.
Mahali huko at that time. Say afterwards then tunakuja tunasema walikuwa wanasema hivyo lakini sikusikia vizuri.
Yeah.
At that time,
That is
do
passive.
what you can.
Be
Yes.
active
Be
citizens.
active.
Yeah.
Be active at that time, kwa sababu if we wait for implementation, enforcement ya laws and policies,
we would have killed each other by the time it happens.
50 women watakuwa wamekufa.
Yeah.
how about you start by saying that 2 people should try as much to resolve their issues in non-physical way as possible. So that you don't
that
have
also works.
That
asking other
hata
people
Biblia
for
imetuambia, but why are we hearing cases za
not
mtu
the norm.
amempiga ameenda hospitali, alafu ukimuuliza anasema hata sijui vile aliniambia tu nini nikasikia tu nimempiga.
Ati nikajipata tu nimemnyonga.
He knows it's wrong, but it happens.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it starts with individuals also.
Yes.
As much as the government
That
is
is
going to
where
do
we
its
stand.
part, it starts with you, not even 2 people. Because once I understand that is not the right way to solve conflict, and you do that, we're not going to find ourselves in the situation where we're actually fighting.
What I can say in terms of now programming for this particular issue,
Yeah.
we need to look at not the presenting issue. Let's look at the root cause. And I really loved your question, the
Yeah.
first question about
Yeah.
now what is the root cause. If we do it right, then high probability in the next 2 years or 3 years we will have reduced
Yes,
the number
the numbers.
number of reported
Yeah.
cases. That is from 7, but unfortunately right now it's a bit more.
Yeah, it's really high.
Yes, we might reduce that number of femicide as well as now
Gender-based violence. Yeah.
cases
Yes.
by a far. If you only look at the root cause, what is the root cause? And to donors, they should see it in a contextual way. Not that different countries have different issues.
Yeah.
So we need to have an analysis of context analysis
Yes.
of different countries, different areas, to that diversification
Yes.
of issues, so that now when we are giving money to a specific country or specific area, it is to do the best that it can do for that specific issue.
To address that need.
Yes. The need. That has been one of the gaps that I can say, and challenges when we implement programs. We have money, but we have to shift some of the issues or cover up some of the issues just to cater for a specific need in the community. Come to the gray areas, we see one stone, two birds strategy.
Yeah.
The gray areas will solve that issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I really love that, and I appreciate this kind of, it has been a constructive and open-minded kind of conversation. We have been able to look at the male perspective and the female perspective. But above all, I think and I believe that the message that we all are trying to communicate is that murder should never be permitted. Every person has a right to, murder, physical violence, any forms of gender-based violence is not permitted at all. And every person has a right to being protected, whether by those immediate to them or even by the government. And
By themselves also.
by themselves. Yeah, Basil would like to really reiterate on the individual responsibility. As much as the government is going to do what it can do, the community also needs to play its part. Whether it is you protecting your sister or your brother, or whether it is you protecting yourself, it is all coming down to also personal responsibility. But above all, it is going to take every person to do their part for us to realize a change in this. The message is, just as much as you will be very surprised when you are robbed in the streets, it is the same way that such things happen. No woman goes out there and wants to be murdered. So for those who are really looking at this from a subjective point of view, try to have some empathy, try to understand where are these people coming from, so that we avoid making careless comments and making women feel like it is their responsibility to look out for themselves and nobody else to actually look out for them. It is a collective responsibility to make sure that every person is safe, and no one should be blamed for being a victim of any violation of human rights. And until we have that mindset where we are looking at these and looking at what are the gaps, what are the systemic gaps that need to be filled, what are the collective community gaps, personal gaps, technological, we need to look at this thing from our own cultures to our own individual habits, to our own government, to our own social norms, to our own thoughts, and how we have been brought up and how we have been socialized. Until we do that, we are not going to see so much progress. But of course, we are here to make sure that these conversations happen. We are here to listen to everyone's point of view, which is very, very important. And above all, on this podcast, we pride in inclusivity, making sure that every person is represented. As you can see today, we had a man and a woman to make sure that we have a balanced conversation. We really hope that you guys had fun listening to this. And if you have any views, feel free to drop it in the comment section and continue sharing this message. Women's rights are human rights, and no one should ever violate that for whatever reason. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. Susan Sindani. Until next time, take care.